Welcome viewers, especially my students here in USA. Today we are going to speak about something strategic, which I also wrote in my second book, The Making of a Statesman. And I have a person with me who is an authority on these matters, especially from the Indian point of view. So many of my students, they ask me that what does India do if they are the land of Dharma to fight against adharma? And my students, they ask me, and my answer to them is that the Raj Tantra, or the process of managing a state, is also part of dharma, but it is also it relies a lot of practical information. So this gentleman is like our teacher, and he's our guide, and he has himself has the first-hand experience on what we speak about in the politics category. So without delay, I would like you to hear Shri NK Sood. He is part of India's uh, government agencies, just like US you have, who deal with the external intelligence. So welcome, Naresh Soodji. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So for my viewers and students, uh, what is the thing that motivates you most that you do, because your videos are so famous in India?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I started making videos only a few months back,
Uh-huh.
because there were a lot of issues up, and there were serious issues like threat to my country, threat to India from China and Pakistan. And I was especially impressed, when our Prime Minister Modi, during his first tenure, he's starting visiting abroad. During his first tenure, he made numerous visits to various countries. He went to USA a number of times, China, and all over the world, to strengthen India's position around the world. By this process, because by the time Modi came, India was in a very bad situation from the security point of angle. China had been harassing India on its borders. China had been creating trouble inside India, whether it's Northeast India or supporting Pakistan against India, or Maoist activities in India, or creating unrest within India using Naxalites and the CPM, this communist category, who are against any country that they live in. And on the other hand, China was encircling India in the sea. It had made a string of pearls in the Indian Ocean. So when Modi came, everything was against India. So he started his visit by visiting Bhutan. That was his first visit, because China had wanted to enter Bhutan. Bhutan is strategically located between India and China, and its importance it had been of a great importance to India from security point of view. Thereafter, Modi made visits to Nepal, because China is in the habit of controlling giving loans to small countries and then grabbing that. That they did with Sri Lanka, that they did in Africa in certain countries, and that it was doing in some other countries also. It had been encircling India.
That's where I lost you.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, the thing is that Prime Minister Modi, when he came in, actually India's policy vis-a-vis China was there when Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister. That he started looking at China. He said, means look east. Look east means the look towards China. But when PM Modi came, he started his policies act east. With that, he started going to different countries in the ASEAN region and around China. So after this period, because when Modi had made this China had made its control over certain islands, in Myanmar he took control of certain ports. In Sri Lanka he took control of Hambantota port. Seychelles, Maldives, everywhere China went, they made gave some loans and controlled certain ports. When Modi came to power, he took over all those places that the China had occupied in Myanmar, Bangladesh, and then besides that, India went to South China Sea.
Mhm.
In Vietnam, now we have a port, Taran port, where Indian Navy can station its ships. Then we have in this some other countries also. We are having some this ports where we are making some base, and then we have a base at Oman. Oman had also given. So China had taken Pakistan's this port, and to counter that, India took over Chabad development of Chabad port. But because of certain developments, there's some means rift between China and the Iran, the Chabad port India is not able to develop properly. So these are the things, And on the other hand, India, when PM Modi came, he developed close relations with the Gulf countries, whether it's UAE, Saudi Arabia. Then Modi, also maintained a balance between Israel and Palestine. He also maintained a balance between this Saudi, UAE, and Iran. So that way, he had a very successful foreign policy, which was very important to India from the point of view of security. Then India has also good relations with Afghanistan, where they are spending a lot of money to develop infrastructure in Iran, in Afghanistan. So that way, he has strengthened India externally to a great extent.
Now, my question to you is, India is a civilization which is way older than most of the civilizations of the planet,
Yeah.
and international diplomacy is done
Mhm.
on military strength.
Yeah,
That
true.
is the only way it is done, international
Mm.
diplomacy. So whatever respect India has today, and I have covered that from Mahabharata also last in my second book, where Narada instructs Yudhishthir about how to maintain a very good network of spies to control other territories for the sake of increasing dharma in those categories.
Yeah, true.
So the strategic objective was to export dharma.
Mhm.
And so is there such kind of doctrine exists in the politicians of India, in the minds of politicians of India?
I think it is very much lacking in India. Of course, as when Mrs. Gandhi was there, she created an external agency called RAW. RAW had played a very vital role in stability of India during, especially if I say during 1971 war that India won. It was all planned by the RAW. RAW had planned it, army executed it. So from every minute detail, it was a big, very, very, I can say very wonderful plan through which we were able to defeat Pakistan and create Bangladesh. It took just 13 days. And what was the other reason? Pakistan was there. It was supported by most of the Gulf countries. They had provided Pakistan with tanks, money. US was supporting Pakistan. Most of the Western European countries, they were supporting Pakistan. India was only supported by Russia. So that was the plan which was executed by RAW. RAW had made a lot of things, and at that time, even the CIA had said that India could have taken POK. If India could have had taken POK, but that I think was not within the plan of Mrs. Gandhi, because she was more than satisfied that after breakup of Pakistan, India will have a peace. Now, with Pakistan, I think we have a border of 3,343 kilometers of border. And on the other hand, that the Bangladesh was created is the longest border of 4,097 kilometers of border. At least we have peace on that border, as far as military things are there. But Pakistan has always been creating problems because Pakistan's agency, the ISI intelligence agency, it is not in the real sense, it is not an intelligence agency. It is this is a you can say terrorist agency. They are indulging in terrorist activities all over the world, whether it's the US, whether it's the other countries, India is there or Afghanistan is there. They are using this agency for terrorizing the world. India can do that, US can do that, but they are not doing it. That's the thing.
See, one thing when you look at dharma, then there is a Raj Dharma, and which creates a strategic imperative for the state to operate on.
Yeah.
So most of the enemies of India, they have their own dharma. We call them upadharma or vidharma, whatever it is. They have their own way of working. They are all working on an ideology.
Yeah,
And
true.
as per Indian scriptures, especially Mahabharata, I can quote that the state also, the Indian state also needs to have a strategic long-term objective. Like the
Yeah.
territories like Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh are essential Hindu territories. They are acquired through subterfuge. They're acquired through Machiavellian politics, and those have been acquired through some kind of fake propaganda. And the land has been taken away from Hindus. And while the religious sanctity of those lands is still with the Hindus, Mahabharata, Ramayana happened in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. Bangladesh was a hub of, if you look at the history, last 5,000 years, only during last 700 years it is occupied by the Islamic forces. But is there a strategic viewpoint by the Indian politicians to to take a view of these territories as Indian territories and make a long-term plan so that we can establish or export Dharma over there?
I think India is totally lacking in this direction, because we had the governments who were totally unconcerned about these things. Now, even the present government is there, they do not have that plan. Now, only the thing is, if you took at the Muslims, how they are indulging in this violence inside India, Afghanistan, and now they are entering into Europe and US. And I am given to understand that even President Trump has ordered that 20,000 Pakistanis who are living in US, they should be thrown out. Pakistanis and these Muslims, they have been creating problems for the West, because West had all along been shouting about secularism. What is secularism? So that secularism, they are going to face that. You take the case of France, you take the case of Belgium, you take the case of UK, you take the case of USA. They are all suffering because of this. And USA, well, India used to tell USA all through that about the unhygienic things that Pakistan had been doing, but US had never listened to it, unless there was only when there was terror attack in the USA. After that, only USA understood, but I think they have not understood it fully. And the second thing is that our system, now in India, there are two problems. Now, Bangladesh, I said, on the other hand, because we have a different type of government in Bangladesh, government is not indulging in terrorist activities. There are two countries in the world, that is China and Pakistan, who are indulging in terrorism as far as India is concerned. Now, when Mrs. Gandhi was there, India could have taken POK easily. Now the question, she didn't have this idea. She didn't want to do that. She didn't want the Muslims to come into India. So she didn't have on her agenda. But she thought that after breakup of Pakistan, there will be peace in India. But that peace is still not there. Pakistan is now, I can say, on ventilator almost. They don't have any economy. They don't have any industry. There's shortage of food. Everything is there. But their factory of terrorism is still, it is going very strong. So India should have a proper policy at this stage to break Pakistan. Pakistan can be broken in a way because the Baluchis are there who are totally dissatisfied with Pakistan, and they are not anti-Hindu. I don't find those people. Then the people in Sindh, they are totally fed up with Pakistan. Then recently, even in POK, now when this coronavirus came to Pakistan, they shifted their people with virus to POK. Now there's severe shortage of food, etc. in POK, and they are seeking India's help. Now, if at this stage we are able to break Pakistan by supporting Baluchis, and the mainly thing is that why didn't we go for that previously? Because we didn't have international support. And even if the USA supports India, India could easily break Balochistan, or even US doesn't interfere, we can break Pakistan. And if we break Balochistan, Pakistan will crash. And after that, if we take POK and Gilgit-Baltistan, now you are just talking about Dharma, then 85,000 kilometers of area that will come to India. But another important thing with that will be that we will break the nexus between Pakistan and China if POK comes to India's side, because their CPEC, although it is a failure now, that will collapse. And China's access to the Gulf through this, can say, this CPEC, that will be broken. And with that, India will have direct access to Afghanistan. If India has access to Pakistan, Afghanistan, India will support Pakistan, Afghanistan militarily also. In that case, the other thing will be that India will have access to this your Russian republics, which could be very good for India's progress also. And all these things, if the US supports India, we could achieve these things. And with achieving these things, we could be a very important ally, dependable ally of US. Because I think USA also has realized recently how important India and dependable India is. So with that, even we could be able, in a very effective way, we will be able to counter China also.
So President Trump is a great friend of India. He has a lot of respect for India. And US has extended complete support. I mean, it never before it was seen to India. And the US, I'm very much involved with the key people here. And the US has often asked India to take care of their neighborhood, which means that India has to create their own strategic narrative and use their large military resources to take care of their own backyard. And given the economy and what we have seen in the recent pandemic, the US may not be capable to come to India's rescue or interfere in India's affairs in future also. So it is time for Indian politicians to decide what they want to do. I'll give one example that the US exports democracy in all the countries, and that is their biggest foreign policy actually. So why can't India develop Dharma as their foreign policy and export it? Because in their backyard, and we have seen that Afghanistan was one of the richest countries when it was a Hindu country. Pakistan was the richest country when it was a Hindu country. And ever since this foreign ideologies from Arab and they have taken over Pakistan and Afghanistan, they have been destroyed. Same is with Bangladesh. Before partition of India, Bangladesh and Bengal of India accounted for 17% of India's global trade. It was one of the richest countries under British, as if you look at the region. So, but with the takeover of Islamic ideology, it has been destroyed. So we have seen that particular ideology brings destruction. So why is India not exporting Dharma to the large group of people in their own backyard without needing any Western support?
Actually, the problem with India is the problem is within India. Now you say, just talk about the Muslims. Muslims do not believe in any kind of peace. If you talk today of the Muslims, they don't talk of peace. Now in India, there have been demonstrations for the past few months, anti-CA. Anti-CA is this means that act is there, that under this act, what India had done, that all the Hindus, Christians and your Sikhs who are being harassed in Pakistan and Afghanistan or Bangladesh, they had come to India, maybe a few thousand, maybe a few lakhs, 2, 3, 4 lakhs they may be. And because of this act, they wanted to give them citizenship. They wanted to protect not only Hindus and Sikhs, but Christians also. So, but it was not against Muslims. India cannot take terrorists from Pakistan. Illegal, more than 1 crore Bangladeshis are staying in India. But what it happened, because there's a sold out commodity in India, that is certain people who have sold their conscience. They are journalists, they are controlling everything. And second biggest threat to India is the communists. Communists within India, they are not loyal to India, or they are not loyal to any country. You must have seen the case in Italy. When the coronavirus came, the communists in Italy, they had favored China because of this, because of which the virus spread into Italy. So these people, they had India, they had made India hostage for last few months for no reason. Muslims in India, I think they are the best place. And other thing about the Muslims is there, whenever they leave their countries, they go out of their country, they don't go to any Muslim countries. They would go to only Christian countries or Hindu countries because they want to spread this virus. So if you talk about Dharma, the only thing is either we convert these people to Hinduism back, because these Muslims in India, all the Muslims are there, they are all converts. They were never Muslims, Because Muslims came to India, they were invaders. They came to India, they raped people, they means looted people, they burned their houses, crops, and after that they went away. But they left few people, and people over here who were Hindus, either they were forcibly converted, or they converted themselves for the sake of money or anything. So the people over there, either we start converting these people to into Hinduism, that's the only thing. But otherwise, if you say, as far as you talk of Dharma or if you talk of Hinduism, it is being accepted world over. I was in the UK, I saw there people celebrating Diwali. They started celebrating because all our festivals, they are celebrations. We don't mourn anything. So they started enjoying either you say holy or everything. So the only thing is that we don't want to take over the world, but our government should have a policy. They should have a policy just to spread our this dharma or what you say our this means religion or anything to the world over, or let them know what this is. Actually, my battery is going down right now.
So one last question I have, one last question, and we'll continue this series. We'll discuss more in this particular interview. And so without the nation having a strategic goal, you cannot have a large military or anyone achieving anything for the nation.
Yeah.
And do you think where is that lacking? Either they don't know something or there is no willpower. What is that lacking with the nation not having a strategy?
What we are lacking is willpower. I think the Modi had the willpower that he countered everything when Pakistan created militant activities over India. He hit them back. That is there. But beyond that, if we have to survive, we have to go to break Pakistan. If we break Pakistan, China will also weaken. So the willpower is needed. Or I tell you about 1971 war. Everything was against India, but we won that war despite US opposition and opposition from the world, because Mrs. Gandhi had the willpower and she had the best person to lead her into this was the chief of Indian external intelligence, R.N. Kao. So that was the reason. I think we are just this willpower is missing right now. We don't have that willpower to break China. If we have that, then all our problems will be resolved and solved very soon.
So thank you, Sood, and thank you so much for coming on the channel. We'll continue this discussion, and we know your expertise in this area. And I must tell the viewers that the US is successful because they work with a strategy, long-term strategy.
Yeah, and true, they have long-term strategy.
So when they declared, President Trump declared the entire region as Indo-Pacific, that was a long-term strategy. Yeah. And India, what it is lacking today is there is no long-term strategy. There is mostly tactical decisions, and there is no long-term view. So
I fully agree with you. I fully agree with you on this.
Yeah. So if India has that long-term view of bringing Dharma back to its own lands, Hindu lands, then India will have a long-term. Then the military will have an objective, foreign policy will have an objective, intelligence agencies will have an objective, and then they can actually bring peace in their neighborhood. Until that happens, there will always be these kind of problems, whether within India or outside India.
Yeah, true.
So we'll end here, and thank you so much for joining. Namaskar, and we'll love to have you next time. So I'll inform you and then invite. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Love to be with you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.